Hey everyone, John Coop from SteelSeries here. We're at the SMITE World Championships. I have a pretty special guest next to me. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, I'm Alex Cantatore. I'm the executive producer of SMITE, and so excited to talk about SMITE 2 today.
Yes, and we have a pretty interesting backdrop, kind of a unique situation here. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's happening literally right behind us?
Yeah, so we're backstage at Esports Stadium Arlington, and we're in the playtest room where a group of our content creators are getting their first hands-on with SMITE 2. So I think Biakai is playing Crit Loki, which is just a filthy thing to do in your first game of SMITE. But I write your tweet, yeah. Just a little bit, yeah. Anyway.
A ridiculously exciting time.
Definitely.
For everyone involved. How long have you been at Hi-Rez? Like, what's your history with the company to where you are now?
So I've been at Hi-Rez for over 8 years now. And I actually started as somebody who was just a guy who loved SMITE. So I was in the SMITE community. I ran a SMITE esports blog called SMITE-tastic about like season 0 of SMITE esports while I was working like a corporate job at an ad agency. And then I joined Hi-Rez on the marketing side. They saw they had a job posting. I was like, I'll apply as a lark. I love this game and I love marketing, and maybe I'll get this sorted. And since then, I've just kind of worked my way up in different parts of the company. And I was kind of like one of the directors on Paladins for a while, and been on SMITE for the past 4 or 5 years again, and it's been great. So yeah, I absolutely love it. It's it is my favorite game, and it is a blessing every day to be able to work on it. And it's even more amazing to see people react the way they have to the SMITE 2 announcements.
Right. Great. So 8 years.
8 years.
Obviously. Yeah. One of the more compelling things about SMITE 2 is that how great SMITE 1 has been for literally 10 plus years of ridiculously solid community love, interactions. Any game that lasts 10 years, pretty impressive, and there's not that many.
Yeah.
Why now,
Yeah.
as far as SMITE 2 happening?
Yeah, so I think over the course of the past year or two, we really started to notice more and more and more troubles with continuing SMITE on UE3, right? And there were a couple things that we were trying to do. One of the big ones was we were trying to upgrade the HUD for SMITE 1, because we realized the HUD was looking a little bit old and outdated.
Sure.
If we wanted to keep up with the modern games, we had to update the HUD. So we put a team of probably 10 people on it, really great people. They worked on it for 18 months, and it shipped, and it was okay, because there were so many technical things holding it back that even though they did great work, the design was good, it didn't feel as smooth as we had all hoped it was going to feel. It didn't have all the bells and whistles, and that's because we've said it publicly here. SMITE 1's UI runs on Flash. One of the things you'll notice if playing SMITE 1, the frame rate of the UI is actually much lower than the frame rate of the game, so you don't quite get that responsiveness. So even though it looked better, it still didn't feel as good as we thought it could.
And players noticed it.
People noticed it. Yeah.
Right.
So that plus a lot of other things. We had an internal group that was, for the past couple years, actually 3 years I think, has been kind of experimenting with gameplay prototypes about what SMITE Next could be. That was the internal code name, because it's like
SMITE Next.
We want to do something in the SMITE universe, but at the time we weren't thinking, we want to make a new version of SMITE. We're like, we'll keep updating SMITE. But then earlier in like December of 2022, they were running a couple experiments, and they came to the conclusion of like, hey, with the power of UE5, we think that we could actually do this in a way that it just feels better, and we could do it quickly enough that it's not going to take us another 10 years to build 100 gods, right? Because that's one of our big concerns is like, everybody has a favorite god, right? One of our Olympians, his name is Opwash. And he's like, I'm not going to play SMITE 2 until you guys get Opwash in it. And it's like, well, he might not be there on day one.
But fair enough.
But fair enough, right? And so our concern was like, if we were to do a SMITE 2, if we were to start from scratch and have to reprogram everything, and it takes us 10 years to get back to where we were, like we couldn't do that. But with UE5, with the issues we were running into on SMITE 1, we were like, this is the time where we finally have the tools, we can finally build what we want to do, and we get to a point where players are going to be happy with it sooner. So we're excited, yeah.
And it's interesting that there was a chance at one time, it sounds like, that this was potentially just going to be an update at one point.
Yeah.
And that because of XYZ circumstances that you just described, it actually turned into SMITE 2.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, probably, if you had asked us, we would have said, there's no way we're ever going to make a SMITE 2, right? We're just going to keep updating SMITE, and we're going to go down that path. But, we reached this point where, like, there were a lot of other things where technically we hit roadblock after roadblock, and we realized that if we really wanted to set SMITE up for another 10 years, this game that everybody loves, so many people here, like, the only way to do it was to take it to UE5 and really start from scratch and build the foundation strong again.
Allow it to continuously be sustainable the way that it has been.
Definitely.
What would you say, more from a personal POV, not necessarily a team or company-wise, but a personal, it could be really personal, one of the challenges, in the last, whether it's weeks, months, years, leading up to this weekend?
Yeah, I'm still very involved in like the publishing side of the business, while also being very involved in the actual game side, right?
Sure,
I lead the game team, but I also just have a lot of fingers in the publishing side.
I can tell. Right?
Because of that, like, SMITE 2, we wanted to give the publishing or the dev team as much time as possible to make like an awesome version of the game. So we didn't start recording footage for our announcement until like December 18th. So we pulled this whole thing together, the trailer, the keynote, everything, in the last 3 weeks. So it's been
insane,
nonstop. It's been, full credit to the team. Dustin and Scott, who are on the video team, just made miracles happen. Everybody's just has put in a ton of work over the holiday period to really get us here today. And we were so nervous when we showed it off.
I can't imagine.
The response has just been great. So yeah.
But I imagine, this last month of a sprint, whatever you want to call it, has brought you guys probably closer together than possible, because you can't plan for the things that happened in the last month. It's almost impossible. And there's a reason that these things took so long to get up to this point.
Yeah.
So just incredible work to the team and you. What's something, a feature, a god, anything about the map, anything that we might not know about yet, even a specific thing that you're very excited for in game about SMITE 2?
Yeah. So this is a weird thing, and it's like super niche, but the thing that I'm the most excited about is actually the interact button. So in SMITE 1, the only way to interact with anything in the map is by killing it or by standing in a place for a certain amount of time.
Sure.
So what we've done with SMITE 2 is we've added a new button. So if you push a button, you can kind of channel and then do something in the map, right? You can capture an objective, you can go through a teleportal, you can open a door, you can pick up a buff. And since we've added that, it's just, I'm less excited about like all the things that it does now, but more all the things that it can do. Because it's opened the door for the gameplay design team to create all of these interesting new mechanics in the map. And this is just the first out, right? Like,
right.
I think one of the things that people don't remember is like, if you look at where SMITE 1 was 10 years ago, right? Like, this is, again, like kind of the groundwork for where we're going to go.
Right.
And I think not just this initial out of like, okay, well, you can interact with a door at the back of the fire giant pit to open it and like surprise the team that's trying to kill the fire giant, which is awesome. But like, man, where are we going to take this in another 2 years or 5 years, right? Like, where can we push this new way of interacting with the map? So that's what I'm most excited about, just new opportunities.
Stuff that hasn't even been thought of yet necessarily.
Right.
And is that something, that interact capability button, etc., is that something players and community requested, or was that just an internal decision you guys made of like, you know what, this makes sense because of these reasons?
So that was a complete internal decision, right? A lot of the stuff that we've done was community requests, but that was just our level designers were like, it would be cool if we did this, but we don't have any way to do that because they've been pushing up against it for a long time in SMITE 1, and they were like, would there be a way for us to like do that in SMITE 2? And we're like, we got to think about it because there's only so many buttons on a controller, and how do we make it fit? And we figured out a way to do it, and it's really just added a lot of depth to the game without adding a lot of complication. And that's the kind of stuff we're trying to do for SMITE 2, right? It's like, how do we actually maybe make it simpler in some ways, especially for new players? Like, remove systems stacked on systems and get it to one clean system.
I remember you telling us about that in the playtest, right?
And then get to, okay, but there's a lot more depth in the game because of it. So, really excited.
Got it. So last 3 questions.
Yeah.
Someone who's never played SMITE before.
Yes.
Why play SMITE 2? Why get into it? What's exciting about the fresh green player who might not have ever played SMITE 2? They might be aware of it, but Why should they play?
Yeah, so I think the best place to start is like, if you like shooters, if you like MMOs, if you like action games like Souls likes, right? But you've never wanted to get into a MOBA because you know it's the top-down, super hardcore
reason,
thing, right? Like Smite offers a very different kind of MOBA, right? What we actually find is that most people who play Smite, they don't really like the other MOBAs, they don't play the other MOBAs, and that's fine, right? We appeal to a very different kind of player. And the people that choose Smite are the people that want more like strategic and tactical depth in their multiplayer game than they can get from a shooter, right? So Smite gives you that mix of like, you get the twitch action of like, I'm in there, I'm dodging, I have to aim all of my attacks and everything, but there's also all the depth of like, okay, my team needs to go here, and if we get this objective, then we get ahead, and if I build this item, then I'm more strong than hit, you know, like there's all of this like kind of brain power in addition to your like precision aiming that I feel like you can't get anywhere else, and that's what makes Smite so magical to me. So that's my, in a nutshell, like if you've never played Smite and you love action but you're looking for more tactical and strategic depth, like that's Smite. It's kind of like the Souls-like of multiplayer games.
Right.
So
that's such a perfect answer.
Yeah.
So been here 8 years.
Yep.
Took 10 years essentially for Smite 2 to happen from the beginning of Smite. In short, how do you imagine the next 10 years going?
Yeah, so 10 years is a long time, right? It's hard to say. I think that like, you know, hopefully, you know, 10 years from now, we're still here playing Smite, right? I think what we're really focused on in the short term though is just like, you know, where are we in 3 months? Where are we in 6 months? Because we know that there's so much more work that we need to do on Smite 2 to get it to the level that we want it to be. Like everything that we've been showing here is pre-alpha. The environment art is all super rough. You know, the environment art team didn't even want us to show it, you know, because they're like, it's going to be so much better, right? And I really believe that like, I have a clear path for where we're going to be in 3 months. I have a rough vision for where we're going to be in 6 months. And in a year, it starts to get fuzzy, right? But all we're going to do is we're going to work every day on making Smite as amazing as we can make it, and the game that all these guys want to play. And I hope it goes well, man, because I love this game. I love it so much.
But it's kind of an incredible answer to me hearing you say that, because everything that you just described are the principles that allow you guys to be sustainable in this industry. So I just super appreciate that. And then last question I have for you. If you were a shoe, what type of shoe would you be?
Oh my God. This question was asked to me at my interview at Hi-Res.
What?
It was. This was the final question of my interview when I started working at Hi-Res. Not joking. That is a ridiculous. So my answer at that time was, because I was like, I gotta say something memorable, and like, what am I gonna say? And I said that I would be a hockey skate, which isn't actually a shoe, but it's a footwear, because you know I like to move fast, and I played hockey growing up, and it's like, I don't know, I'm a little bit quirky, and I don't like to do the normal thing. So that was my answer then. It's bizarre that you asked me that question. That's actually, for years, that was then a tradition, and in marketing interviews at Hi-Res, where that was the last question we asked everybody who interviewed for marketing.
Wow.
So, yeah, small world, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Super appreciative.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and come down here, man. SMITE World Champions, so great. So,
Let's get it. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.